Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from the Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6, where sleeves are optional. Strap in. The show starts right now.
¿Cómo están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge. I'm Mike. That's Evo, and we are back on this beautiful Saturday. And we don't have a ton of shit to talk about, honestly. Like, we've been trying to go through it, see what's going on throughout the week. And there hasn't been that much stuff. Baseball was on a break with MLB All-Star Weekend. We will get into that. A little bit of football news here and there. UFC is going to be crazy here in the next couple months. But, man, there's just not a ton of sports going on. This is that weird time of year where, there's just not a lot of shit going on. So we're going to find a way to fill up the airwaves for you guys for a little bit today. We're going to make sure that we have that Lineman Lounge phone number up on the bottom if you guys want to call in, ask us any questions. That'll be available as well. But, Evo, tell me how the weekend's going. I know haven't had the greatest last 48 hours, but other than that, man, how you doing? We don't need to get too far into all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I'm doing good. I mean, the weekend's just starting for me. Got off of work last night, went and had a drink or two, and just kind of chilling so far this morning, waiting for the girl to get back from work. So, and I don't even think we really got plans this weekend, so it might just be another chill weekend.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, so kids and Amber are out right now. They're doing some grocery shopping. Got nothing going on today. Tomorrow, Graydon is going to be playing in the All-Star game. So
Nice.
We got a little bit of stuff going on this weekend, but, nothing crazy. And then football practice is going to start Monday night. So we're getting ready to hop right into football. And that kind of takes us into the first part of our show, like it almost always does, is, youth sports. We love youth sports around here. I sure as fuck love youth sports. And it did not go the way that we had hoped in our last game, our playoff game for Graydon's team, that Gerber team. As a coach, you are always hoping that your players are going to come out, they're going to perform their best. As a dad, you always want to see your kids perform their best. And Graydon had been pretty damn dominant all season. And he didn't have it in that playoff game. We were up, got into the game, struggled in his first inning, walked a lot of guys, could not find the zone, wasn't getting hit, just couldn't find the zone. And then, in the middle of those innings, right, you're trying to coach him through it, right? In that moment, you're still in coach mode. You're trying to get him through the inning, get him out of the inning. And then once he finally makes it out of that inning, then, I turn into dad again, right? I talk to him, try to calm him down, let him know, hey man, you're not always going to have your best stuff. You just gotta calm down. And goes out in the next inning and just does not have it again. I think pressure got to him a little bit. It's one of those things that, when you're 10 years old, you're probably not in a ton of pressure situations. Have not been in a lot of those pressure situations. And pressure can be a motherfucker sometimes, man. You got to learn how to deal with that. And that was a hard lesson. He felt terrible and I felt bad for him. I mean, because there's nothing you can do in that moment sitting out there as dad, as parent, to, make him feel any better about, the way things are going. So he didn't have it that day. They ended up losing the game by 2 or 3 runs. And that was the end of the baseball season for the boys. But I mean, they had a really good season, a lot of improvements, a lot of kids stepped up big in that last game. Graydon wasn't one of them. And no, if he listens to this, he's going to hate me saying that, but that's one of those things that as dad, as his coach, I've coached him basically his entire life. It's something that we're going to have to work on, is dealing with a little bit more pressure situations, finding a way to kind of calm down. Anybody who loves baseball movies, if you've seen For the Love of the Game, you just got to release the mechanism and shut everything else out and go and put in some work. So that's one thing that we're going to have to kind of work on a little bit.
That's really difficult to create those pressure situations outside of the actual pressure situation. You know, what you can't be like, oh, if you don't like do this or that in practice right now to create the pressure situation, like we're not going to get ice cream afterwards or something like that, because it's not that big of a deal. Or it's like, where's the line between creating this pressure situation and actually having a risk reward type thing, or going too far, like, oh, if you don't throw 4 strikes in a row or something like that, the whole team's running gassers or something like that. You know, you can do that to an extent, but it's not the same. There's not that feeling in your chest and all that, you know, that like we felt that pressure where it's like you have to perform right now or else things are going to go bad. That's really tough to create. But at the end of the day, I'm always a proponent of losses.
Yeah, losses are good, man. That's one of the greatest teachers in the world, is going through one of those situations where you just don't have it.
It's such an important thing for kids to learn what it is to lose, to feel that pain, to feel that pressure, and to know that you're going to come out on the other side with more drive, more like you're going to remember that feeling and want to work harder for it. And you're going to know, I don't want to feel that again. But you're also going to know that a loss isn't going to define your life type thing. And that's what's so wrong with participation trophies and everything like that. It's like people just get that into their head that, hey,
you tried, so everybody's good.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And because there's always a safety net. In life, there ain't always a safety net. Sometimes you gotta work your ass off, and sometimes even working your ass off ain't gonna be enough, and you're gonna take an L. But you know what? You gotta just keep on fucking going and try to do better next time. There's so many life lessons in youth sports, and things like participation trophies and stuff like that just kind of ruin those lessons.
I can't do it, man. Like, so as a coach, we still have a bunch of people out there in Sierra Vista who probably remember me as their kids' coach. There are parents who think that I'm too hard on their kids. Listen, once you start keeping score, we're out here to win. Okay. Now, I'm not saying winning is the most important thing. Like, as a coach, my most important thing is to make sure that all the players get better. It's not to have fun. Like, if you become a better baseball player, a better football player, a better basketball player, I don't give a shit what sport it is, you're probably going to be having fun while you're doing that. Most people are not completely miserable while they're, improving their skills, because they notice that they're getting better and they're going to have fun right off of that. And then, you got to learn the game, especially at this young level, right? Because we still don't know all of the ins and outs of baseball, football, like all of that stuff. We're still learning the game. And then number 3 for me is winning, right? And there's going to be some parents that maybe don't like to hear that, right? I'm going to put winning above fun. Fun comes naturally. If you're getting better, if you're learning about the game and you're winning, what's just going to naturally fucking happen? You're going to have fun doing all of those things.
It took me, like, in football, playing for a year, maybe 2 years. I don't remember exactly how many years I had played, where it's like, I actually really did not enjoy playing football, like with pads and tackle and everything. I didn't enjoy it because I was getting my ass whooped. I was coming home battered, beat, bruised from the practices at the games. I wasn't contributing. I wasn't doing good. And it was like 4th grade that I figured out, like, oh, I can hit people. And it doesn't hurt me that bad, but I can tell it hurts them. And then I'm actually doing something. And it was like that flip of a switch. And then it went from, like, even though it wasn't my parents forcing me into playing football and anything like that, like, I was the one that was pushing them to want to play football, even though I was having a bad time. And then once that switch got flipped, it was like, oh, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah. This
is fun. It was great. And it didn't mean that the grind went away. Like, the grind still was there. There's still shitty practices. You're still coming home beaten, battered, bruised and everything. You're like, but you have, it's like golf too, where it's like you'll have it in 18 holes and you'll have one good shot and it makes it all fucking worth it.
Oh yeah. fucking, you have not hit a fairway all day, and then you put one right down the dick on 18. You're like, all right, well, I'll be back next weekend.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, because no one's going to be perfect at anything from the get-go. It takes hard work, and that's one of the big lessons of sports is hard work. Losses are going to help define you and make you better, and you got to put in the hard work for it. Earn it.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, he obviously upset. He knows we got work to do. We got to go back. Talk to him about it. I mean, because normally we break down games right after the game. We're talking about it. Okay, this is what we did. This is what we could have done better. This is, he wants to know his stat line. What did I do today? You went 1 for 3 with a strikeout and a walk. Okay, so I'm 333. He's keeping track of his batting average and things like that. He wants to know. He's trying to keep track of how he's doing. So I think that drive is definitely in there. It's just pressure situations, man. It's tough. It's tough on coaches, especially if you're not used to being in pressure situations. It's tough on a coach too. I've been when I first started coaching football and we're in a tight game, I get nervous, and I'm a 30-plus-year-old man at the time, and I have no skin in the game. I'm not even playing, and you can feel those nerves. And so that's something that, at the very least, that's something that you could talk about different ways to try to deal with those kinds of different feelings that you're going to have, because you're going to be nervous as fuck. You're going to be but that's one of those things, man. It's the one thing that I love about youth sports is it doesn't matter how good you've been, how bad you've been. You could always make something happen, right? You can see a kid who hasn't had a hit all season. He fucking smokes one. Game-winning run comes in. That kid's the hero, and he hasn't hit all year. So that's the thing that I love about youth sports. It's also one of the things that is tough about youth sports is seeing your kids struggle with something that there's not a defined way to help them get better at.
Mm.
So,
hey,
all right,
it's life, man.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah.
It'll be good for him in the long run.
I agree.
Hate it now, feed into that shit, and let him make you better.
Yep. But hopefully he comes out tomorrow, plays pretty well in that All-Star game, gets that confidence right back up, and then we'll go back to work here in a few months after football season's over, because I'm not sure. Well, I think he's going to try to wrestle this year. So, I mean, wrestlers make great football players.
Make great linemen.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. All right, we're going to toss up the Lineman Lounge hotline. I don't know if anybody's going to tune in and call in today, but like I said, we don't have a ton of shit to talk about. We're going to try to fill in space. So if you guys want to call in, the numbers on the bottom, 520-338-9771. Call in, bullshit with us, ask us questions about current state of whatever fucking sport you like. I'm sure that either one of us can come up with something to talk about, unless it's maybe soccer.
Or women's badminton or whatever.
Yeah, that was, what was it? Women's cricket. I still don't know shit about women's cricket. I'm not going to learn anything about women's cricket other than don't bet on women's cricket at 2:00 in the morning from Arizona.
Yep.
So shout out, $20 is $20. We love you. But all right, let's start diving into some of the stuff that we do have. So we'll go to the NFL. Not a ton of storylines other than the big one that came out, and that's Kyler Murray getting a fat ass contract after a offseason that looked like there was going to be some turmoil out there in Phoenix, and this team found a way to get it done. He has now more money than Deshaun Watson. That was a big part of that deal. He got $260.5 million to one up Deshaun's 260. His average per year is like $100,000 higher than Deshaun's. So he's now the top paid quarterback per year in the NFL. So what is your take on this fucking massive contract for Kyler Murray? And does this help the situation that was potentially brewing out there?
Well, I mean, the easiest way to solve the problem was money. That's what he wanted, was money. He thought he deserved to get paid oodles and oodles of money. And so that's what they did. They paid him lots and lots of money. I'm not a big Kyler fan. I really haven't been.
Yeah,
I know that he was having an MVP season last year, but the eye test for me watching him in those games early on last year wasn't anything like he wasn't blowing anything out of the water.
Yeah.
He's
a guy that also kind of shrinks in a situation where pressure's on a little bit.
I mean, and that not even just a short joke there.
Yeah, that's not a short joke. That's just
that like I've never been impressed with him. I think that he on any given day is an average NFL quarterback with
I'd give him top
potential to
I don't think I even put him in the top 10. I don't know if I would put him in the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL.
On his really good days, I think he could move into the top 10, but that's because he has that ability to scramble and really work in the pocket better than some quarterbacks. Like his size does give him an advantage there. His mobility gives him an advantage there. And if you're not able to have good contain, then he can do some damage to you. But against the team that is prepared for that and ready for it, it negates a lot of it. And I mean, I don't think that he's deserving of the top contract, most money in the league.
I don't think so
by any means. It sucks because it just pushes everyone else's contracts up. But that's the NFL. That's the way it's going to go. And it all came from him kind of bitching and complaining in the first place, and now he gets the money. And for what it's worth, the Cardinals are between a rock and a hard place, kind of, because they don't have anything else.
Yeah, what the fuck are they going to do if they don't pay him?
Cliff Kingsbury is very much so tied to Kyler. Yeah. I don't think either of us are sold on Cliff Kingsbury. They got a good squad down there in Arizona. I mean, they do have a good team.
Well,
if they stay healthy.
They do have a good squad, but can they make it through those first, 6-8 games that fucking D-Hop is suspended? Do they have enough juice without D-Hop on the field to put up enough points? Obviously we've seen Kyler be, really electric in certain times. But when D-Hop wasn't on the field, we saw what happened to Kyler Murray. He just wasn't the same guy. I mean, because defenses are rolling coverage. They're playing fucking cloud unders. They're doing anything they can do to take away D-Hop, and it opens up a whole bunch of other guys. They lost Christian Kirk, who I would take Christian Kirk over Hollywood Brown in a fucking heartbeat. So they didn't improve there by going and getting Hollywood Brown as a replacement for him.
The most dynamic thing that they had was Rondale Moore.
Yep. Who should see a lot more targets now.
Absolutely. But he's definitely that gadget type of guy. And Kyler is kind of a gadget type of guy, which is why when they mesh and they work together, it works very, very well. But then D-Hop is that big safety blanket. And not having him there, then you're not one-dimensional yet, but you're getting way closer to it. It's way easier to game plan. I don't know that they're going to roll out anything new or special this year offensively and schematically to change the situation. And my gut tells me that this is going to be one of those situations where a player gets a big contract and you don't see improvement. You see stagnation or regression. And that I don't know how the Arizona fans down here feel about it. The ones that we work with that are actually a little more tuned into football. My gut reaction or kind of the pulse that I've been feeling is that they're kind of like, yay, we have our quarterback. Yeah. Like, we don't have to worry about this anymore. But I mean, I don't know, man. Congrats to him on getting your money.
Yeah,
cool.
Get your bag. I got no problem with Kyler wanting his money and getting his money. He's not number one quarterback money, though.
He warrants a good contract. Not like this. He warrants maybe, I guess I'll go up to the 5th highest quarterback type money. Just because he's contracts are going to continue working up like that. And in 2 years, he'll be back down to the 10th or 15th highest paid quarterback. But now he's going to stay up there in the top 5 for a bit.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk about with this whole contract thing and how the Browns have completely fucked the entire league with what they gave Deshaun. The fact that he has a $230 million or 2.6 or whatever the fuck it is, doesn't matter. It's all guaranteed. That is going to be a massive problem for other organizations who are going to have quarterbacks who are coming due on contracts. And it's great for me as a Browns fan. Like, I hate Deshaun's contract. Cannot stand his contract. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, good for Deshaun getting his bag, but it's asinine. But what it does is it completely fucks the Ravens because Lamar Jackson still does not have a contract. He is in his 5th-year option. They are going to have to they're going to have to back a fucking Brinks truck up and pay that man. Or he's going to walk, right? Like, they could franchise tag him for 2 years, but that franchise tag is going way the fuck up now. So that is going to really hurt the Ravens in their cap situation because they do not have a ton of cap space.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Joe Burrow coming in 2 years looking for a new contract. And the Bengals absolutely cannot
two
afford
after
that.
this season. Oh, no. Yes, last year was the 2nd year. So, yeah, he'll be at his 4th year. And usually you try to get...
You're going to try to get him on a contract
you'll
before
get a 5th-year
the
option. Or you'll exercise the 5th-year option and try to work an extension on that. But hey,
the Bengals can't do... The Bengals don't have enough money to be able to do that kind of deal because... So I've been watching a lot of Pat McAfee. My guy, love him. My inspiration for starting to want to do this. So they were talking with Andrew Brandt and talking about cash over cap. And it's a big deal that I don't know that a lot of people were aware of. I certainly was not aware of.
I learned about it this year.
At least not to this extent. So when you're doing these guaranteed contracts, right, you have to have that money in equitable, like in fucking liquid funds that you can put into escrow.
Yeah. The owners have to have that.
The owners have to have that.
So even though the cap, is only so much each year and us as fans are looking at, we're only paying this 200 and whatever million this year. Deshaun's contract, all that money is already set aside.
It's already paid.
It is already essentially paid, sitting in escrow on the side. So that's out of the owner's pocket.
Yeah. And owners like the Browns down there. Is this still the Browns? Is that who owns the Bengals?
I don't know.
I can't remember. Well, I know they don't have a lot of money because they just don't. They're not one of those uber wealthy owners. Same thing with the Raiders, right? They're not uber wealthy people. They are obviously much more wealthy than I could ever imagine to be because they own a fucking NFL franchise. But they don't got it like some of these other guys do, right? Like some of these other owners. Jerry Jones could fucking shit 230 million, 260 million, no problem.
Steve Bisciotti is the owner of the Ravens, and his net worth is roughly $5.6 billion.
Okay. Now is it liquid? Does he have that money readily available to just fucking drop that shit into, because all of these owners are worth billions of dollars if you look at all of their assets, because every NFL franchise is worth at least $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
But do they have that money liquid that they can put that into escrow and it's already done? The Haslams did, obviously. They shelled out fucking like $400 million in guaranteed money. So they got it, right? These other teams some of these teams are not going to be able to do that. So that cash over cap thing is going to be a big factor. And the Browns are leading the charge that, like, listen, our owner is willing to just dump hundreds of millions of dollars into escrow. And some of you motherfuckers can't. So now your quarterbacks are going to leave to go to a fucking organization where they have a guy that can pay all that money up front. And then we'll start getting into those arguments about, he should take the hometown discount, or he's a bad guy because he didn't want to stay there with the team that drafted him, when they should be looking out for themselves and trying to go get their money.
Yeah. Now, when I learned about this in the past year or so, the conversation actually was coming up from one of the heads of the NFL Players Association, where the Players Association originally fought for this rule. Because we're talking 20, 30, 40 years ago, when contracts were not as big, owners were in this situation where they didn't have to put this money in escrow. They'd guarantee contract money and then wouldn't have the money to pay it out. And so players were actually getting the raw end of the deal, where they would have their contract be done with the team, but they still haven't received all their guaranteed money yet.
Yeah, and then you're getting into the Bobby Bonilla territory where you're getting fucking millions after you're done playing.
And this is partially what happened with the Denver Broncos back in the day during the Tim Tebow time, is they didn't have enough money to pay out guaranteed contracts, and it got them in some hot water. Either way, the rule came into place to protect the players, but we're in a very different financial situation right now in this current state of the U.S. and business and everything economically. All right. So the Players Association is now actually fighting against it because players prefer the guaranteed contract. If they could all do guaranteed deals, they'd in general be willing to take less money if it is guaranteed. So instead of a 5-year, $25 million deal, the players are closer to like, I'll take a 5-year, $20 million deal guaranteed type thing for like a lower end player. You know, obviously $5 million a year isn't huge money for some of these players. They're willing to take that as long as it's guaranteed, because then that solidifies them for the rest of their life, hedging against injury, things like that. They are willing to push for this, but it is more difficult for them to do that because the owners are having to put that money into escrow, and the ownership groups are not wanting to put that money away where they can't utilize it to continue making more money. So the Players Association has actively been working to try to get this rule removed, so that way, because they're sure their players are going to get paid now, they can go to litigation or something like that if the player's not getting paid. That's not a problem. They can work that on the legal side. But if it means better contracts in the long run, more guaranteed contracts, then the players absolutely want this rule to be gone. So we could be seeing this in the next like five, maybe 10 years.
Well, how long was that? How long was the CBA signed for? 7 years? 2 years ago, right?
I believe so. My understanding is that this part of the NFL rules isn't directly tied to the CBA.
Okay, so they could probably just change this mother at any time.
It's something that can be adjusted in the annual league meetings and stuff like that, because the CBA, while it does deal with contracts and stuff like that, it doesn't deal as directly with where the money is coming from.
Okay.
It's just dealing with player contracts, not where the funding for the contracts is coming from as much. I could be completely off on this. I'm a little out of my fucking depth. So, but this was generally what I had heard. And this was earlier in the offseason, that like, we're talking February timeframe when I originally had heard this stuff. So it's been a little bit, but either way, it's a good point to bring up, is that cash over cap money is and can be a deterrent to some teams, because now it's also seen as somewhat of an advantage for certain teams.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
An unfair playing field.
Well, you think about the guys that are coming up on contracts. We already named Burrow. We got Lamar Jackson, right? But those are not. I mean, Herbert is going to get fucking paid. He might. Well, it depends on when he gets his deal done. Herbert's going to get absolutely fucking paid.
I think Herbert should be the top paid quarterback when he gets his new contract, way more than Kyler. Not that he's the best quarterback in the league, but when he gets his
deal comes up, it will be time.
He'll be the best quarterback who's due for a new deal.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the way it'll work. But with the way things are right now, it was very specific that deal for Kyler had to be bigger than Deshaun's. That's why it's the fucking that extra $0.5 million on the end there, just so he says I'm the highest paid quarterback. It won't last for very long, depending on what the hell the Ravens decide to do, or what. I mean, Burrow could probably shoot for a contract next year, in his fourth year, at the end of his fourth year.
Yeah, I mean, they could technically do it earlier.
They could do it earlier,
but fourth year is usually when that will happen for those first.
And Burrow's going to get more money than Kyler, and I would absolutely pay Burrow more money than I would pay Kyler.
100%, absolutely. But I mean, if there's one piece of good news surrounding this whole Deshaun Watson contract and stuff like that, it's that the Browns did actively make a move to bring in a veteran quarterback.
They sure did,
to help out the situation. You know, it's pretty big NFL news this week. Josh Rosen, the former number 10 pick of the Arizona Cardinals, is now a Cleveland Brown.
Yeah, he just needs to go away. Like, I'd rather had McCarron. Now maybe maybe McCarron looked like trash. I don't want Rosen in my fucking locker room. Now, maybe he's grown up, right? Maybe he has been drastically humbled, right? He's bounced around the league a fuckload for a guy that, that
Cardinals,
had 9 mistakes happen in front of
Dolphins.
him.
Well, there's one other team.
I think he was on the Falcons last year, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, I mean, the 9 mistakes that happened in front of him, every single one of them has been a better player. Every single one of them.
Not only did he show to not be very talented while he was on the field, but he also was a locker room cancer. And a bit of
I don't know why we're bringing in Rosen. Like, listen, I'm not calling Baker a failure yet. We'll see how it all goes down for him in Carolina. I don't need a failed quarterback from that same draft class to come in to back up a guy that we gave way too much money to. Because listen, I know a lot of fans out here in the Cleveland area are very excited about Deshaun. When he gets on the field, he's gonna take us to a Super Bowl. Is the sounding fucking thing. Like, that's what everybody thinks. I don't know. Deshaun hasn't played in 2 fucking years, man.
And Madden still has him rated pretty high.
I'm not. Well, okay, we'll talk about Madden briefly here in just a minute, but he hasn't played in 2 years. I have no idea who Deshaun is anymore. Is Deshaun the same guy that he was as a Texan? If he is, he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. If Deshaun is not that guy because there's a shit ton of rust, and then he has been dealing with all this outside of football shit, this could be absolutely terrible, and we won't have a first-round draft pick to go get a CJ Stroud. Like any one of the, I don't know, probably 5 guys who are going to get drafted in the first round this year.
It's a very, very fair question. I am curious as to why you would even bring in Rosen. I guess he could just be a camp body or something like that. But to be realistic, you have 3 quarterbacks on the roster between Deshaun Watson, Josh Dobbs, and Jacoby Brissett.
Yep.
I do actually like Josh Dobbs as a backup and pinch starter if need be.
He's a grown up.
Yeah.
Dobbs is a grown up.
With no eyebrows. No eyebrows. Kind of weird looking like an alien, but I like him coming out of Tennessee there.
Yeah.
But and Brissett is in the same ilk for me. I think he's better than Dobbs. I don't like him as a starter personally, but he is that decent spot starter. So it's not uncommon for a team to go into the season with 2 quarterbacks and maybe one on the practice squad. So
are we keeping Rosen on is Rosen even eligible for the fucking practice squad anymore?
They kept some of the rules from like the COVID years where you can have extra players and some players optioned on and off and things like that. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I would have to assume this is just a camp body type thing to be able to run 3
to make our defense feel good. Like, is that what we're doing? We're gonna run the 3rd team out there. Let's go.
I don't know.
Rosen, throw a couple picks, make the defense feel good.
I'm playing devil's advocate with it because I don't know why you would bring him in. I'd rather bring in like some UDFA or something like that to see if maybe you can strike lightning.
Right, and then you toss him on a fucking practice squad and you develop him in case something happens, right?
Yeah, that's my thought, but I'm not a GM. But at the end of the day, it's like if Deshaun plays it all this year, you have 3 quarterbacks. You can view his time off, his suspension as an injury, which is why you have a Jacoby Brissett who's a decent spot starter.
And then you have a backup in Dobbs, who has been a career backup and a pretty damn good career backup. He knows he can be in a room. He can be a leader. He's been in the league a long time. Like, I don't know why we need more than that.
So, like I said, it maybe camp body or something like that, but I think that you have more upside from different players. I don't know. Rosen's camp is, of course, saying like, we're excited to see him go out and show what he's got and how he's improved and blah blah blah.
He doesn't have anything. He never did. He doesn't have it. Like, listen. So, all right, I'm probably gonna piss some people off right now. There is something to be said about people that come from nothing and work their way up to achieve some of the highest goals you could possibly imagine. There's also something to be said about people who have been handed everything on a silver fucking platter, who worked hard-ish and then got where they wanted to go and didn't succeed. Guess which one Rosen is? Do you think he's the guy that came from nothing? No. The kid grew up incredibly wealthy, has been entitled his entire life. That's why we get that there were 9 mistakes in front of me speech after the draft, because he's an incredibly entitled asshole who grew up in a very, very wealthy family and was handed everything. So give me the guy who's fighting for a job, fighting for his life, trying to put shit on tape. Rosen isn't that guy. I don't get it. I don't like it. I mean, I don't like Rosen, but
he's a Brown now, baby.
he's my fucking asshole for probably the next 2 weeks.
At least, because I mean, we got camps opening up here. We already have some that have started.
Open Wednesday, right?
Not all of them. So I mean, like the Raiders and I think the Rams or something like that had already had.
So there's 2 teams already in camp because they're doing the Hall of Fame game.
Mm-hmm. And then you have like I think my Vikings rookies report today or tomorrow, something like that. Like all the camps are opening up here this week, basically. Yeah. So pretty exciting time for the NFL in that respect, especially if you are anywhere near any of these training camp locations. I love going to training camp. I loved going to training camp for the Vikings. It was where I went to college in Mankato originally. Now they're back up in the Twin Cities. But going to training camp's always fun, especially if you are like, it's fun for kids and stuff like that because you get a little bit more player interaction than you would go into a game and stuff like that. There's autograph signings, things like that. But as a big time football fan, especially of your team, that's when you get to go see this like 90 man plus roster, and you get to like really get into the nitty gritty of like attaching yourself to some no name guys where it's like, hey, I think that this guy's actually going to make the roster, or I think this guy could be special here in the future and stuff like that. And you can kind of follow him around. I mean, I got to meet some of my Vikings heroes, legends, like running back Chuck Foreman, one of my favorite running backs of all time, from like the 70s and stuff for the Vikings. I got to meet him like 2 or 3 times when I was going to training camp and get autographs from him and stuff like that. Nice. He's a fucking cool dude. You get those opportunities going to training camp, and then if you're really a big time passionate football fan and follower of your team, you get to actually watch the practices, which is where that grit, comes from. That's where the guys are really working out the kinks and becoming the players that they're going to be. And it's really cool to see that happen, especially if you're in a situation like I am right now. I'm jealous I can't go to training camp because we have a whole new regime in there, new coach and stuff, and you get to see how the offense and defense is going to be implemented and stuff like that. It's really fun to watch. And they always make training camp fun. They have different competitions and things like that going on the field. You get to watch those. It's a different dynamic than just going and watching a football game. And you're there for, the whole day and stuff like that, getting these hot dogs and shit like that, kind of have that, almost like a fair mentality while the players are out there doing their thing. So it's a lot of fun. Excited that's going to be opening up. We're going to start seeing injuries and things like that start to happen, unfortunately.
Nobody loves them,
it's going to really start to mold and shape our feelings about these teams going forward. Yeah. For the rest of the year.
Yeah. I mean, so I love camp. Actually I need to hit up Carnsey. He, talked to me about going down there a couple times with him and go and check out some training camp. Cause I tried to get some tickets for the Browns training camp. Fucking not happening. Sold out. Not even available anymore. Yeah. Cannot fucking get in there.
It was always the camps I went to, you could order tickets online, but it was always like you walk them and pay $10 and you're in.
Oh, really? I mean, I might just fucking go down to Berea for a day and see if I can get my.
And that was part of the reason why I chose to go to college where I did, because not only did I want to try to play football there for the Mavericks, but my townhouse, it was back against the football field.
Oh, so you just
I could look out my back window and see practices going on. So it was awesome. So I was able to, just like walk with beers from my house, walk right into training camp. If I needed to go back and pass out for a little bit, I could just walk back, and it was great.
So I have been to training camps.
It might be different. I've
been to training camps, but I have never been to a Browns training camp. So when I lived in Colorado, one of my buddies, his dad was a season ticket holder, so they always had tickets for training camp for the season ticket holders. I got to go 1 year with my friend and his dad, and it was a Broncos training camp. It was really cool. I was not a Broncos fan, but I was still that same kid, loved football, getting autographs from guys and I wasn't even a Broncos fan. Like, I have Rod Smith's autograph on a Broncos hat, and I don't even like the Broncos, but I got Rod Smith's fucking autograph. It's great, man. Training camp is fantastic. It's a fun time. And everybody always tries to find that one guy. Who's your gem? Who's the guy who's going to make it that you don't think is going to make it? And that's one great thing about watching Hard Knocks is that you get to see some of those other personalities and people attach themselves to those personalities. Like I remember watching the Browns Hard Knocks and Amber was like, Cajuste. Devin Cajuste is the fucking man. Like weird dude. I mean, very nice, but like really spiritual into like the whole rock thing and like getting energy from rocks. But she's like, yeah, that guy, he's going to make the squad. He's going to make the fucking squad. I was like, I don't think so. He can't block. Cajuste. Yeah. But yeah, it was very, very funny. Watching her and kind of get involved in that. But yeah, training camp's awesome. I love it.
I mean,
but
for the Vikings, they had Mr. Mankato, which was a legit competition every year when the training camps were being held in Mankato, Minnesota. And Mr. Mankato was voted on by the players on the team who was the best performer in training camp of people who was either free or not free agents, but rookies or UDFAs. And it's something like if they had only had a year or two in the league or something like that to make them eligible. Adam Thielen was Mr. Mankato twice because he came in as UDFA and then was on the practice squad, came in the next year, got it again. And then obviously he's turned out to be who he is, one of the better wide receivers in the league. So you have some of those gems come through sometimes. So it's always fun to watch. I don't know if they've renamed it now that we're back up in the Twin Cities or something like that, or if they have the same sort of competition. But yeah, it is fun to get attached to those guys that people don't know, because then you can be like, he's my guy. I knew it from the get-go. I fucking knew. Yeah. Put me on the team. I should be a scout.
Yeah. I mean, or the GM, whatever. I'll take that salary. I mean, I'll take half of what they're getting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but training camp can be a real motherfucker for those players. Like it is a grind. Like, and especially, and I hate the co-training camp practices, the joint practices, fights, injuries. I do not like them. Teams will still continue to do them. I would be surprised if fucking Motor City Dan Campbell and the Lions are not doing joint practices every fucking day, because he's a wild man. But I'm not a joint practice guy. I do not like seeing them because crazy shit always happens during those.
Hey, the Lions just got themselves a new assistant offensive coach too.
They did. They got JT Barrett out of Ohio State, was quarterback. Really fucking good for us. It was a fantastic college quarterback. Did not pan out in the NFL, but I mean, a lot of guys don't. Like, I feel bad that JT did not pan out. I wish that he had the opportunity to make some NIL money like these kids do now, because he'd have had a fuck ton of it back then, because he was a baller, broke basically every goddamn Ohio State passing record until it was recently passed up as well. So, yeah, good for the Lions. They're getting a good guy, smart guy, should help that quarterback room out. But all right. Actually, you know what? Speaking of motherfuckers, we have not talked about this yet. And
yeah, we kind of missed it last week.
We did.
Not that we weren't aware, but it was just in having a guest on and everything, it probably just kind of slipped on by us.
Yeah. So Zack Wilson's a fucking dog, dude. I don't
maybe.
know. So maybe. I don't know if it's true. The reports are
probably true.
The reports are hilarious. So everybody knows that I have never been a big fan of Zack Wilson. Not him as a person. I just don't think he's a very good football player. I still don't think that he's a very good football player, but maybe plowing through some Cougars will just help him sling the ball where it needs to go. So apparently something happened with him and his girlfriend. They broke up. She starts banging his best friend. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go bang my mom's friend. And
that might not be the order. That might not be the order of events.
Who cares?
All those things
who
supposedly
fucking cares?
Look, like I said, I've been I'm not high on Zack Wilson, but I'm not off of him yet. I think that he still has the potential to maybe develop. We'll see, but he's definitely developing that dick game. Because what do you expect from a hot young stud football player? He's probably going to go out there and get any piece of trim that he wants, and if he can take down some old fox, then like we always say, go get your bag. Well, barely he got it. And I'm sure that he does well for himself. I mean, more and more shit came out.
I mean,
after
his girlfriend was fucking gorgeous, and I would be willing to bet that the cougar that he went and bagged was also probably fucking a dime piece as well.
I'm sure.
So good for Zack.
He
won the locker room right there.
Yeah, shit came out after this where people started digging a little bit more. He went to high school prom with 2 college cheerleaders. 2 of them is what he took to his senior prom. Like the guy's probably been pulling in ass for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's gonna stop anytime in the next 2 to 3 years while he figures out what's going on in this rookie contract. If he ends up completely falling off, then the ass is gonna slow down a little bit, but he's also got money, so doesn't really matter. Like you said, probably went over the locker room. Like he's probably rolling into training camp.
Oh, dude. Everybody in that locker room. Everybody in that locker room is like, whatever the fuck you say, Zack. You threw like 20 picks last year. Don't give a fuck. I got you, dog. Whatever you say.
Really embodying that Joe Namath type spirit where he's just walking with the fur coat and what's up? Like that. I'm sure most NFL players are doing somewhat of the same thing. But now he's definitely got that one of the guy type of feel to him. So,
and he absolutely did not have that when he was drafted. Like I still remember seeing the meme when it looked like he had just met his first black person at the fucking draft.
At the draft, he's like standing next to all the other quarterbacks looking up at him like, oh my God. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So he went from somebody who looked
fish
like
out of
he
water
did not
to being the shark in the
sea.
Yeah. Good for him, I guess. I mean, I guess it's a bummer for him personally to have it be public like that, but also it just fucking bumps his street cred a little.
You're a starting quarterback in the NFL in the biggest market in the world. Like shit like this is going to happen. Like so the Jets and the Giants are notoriously bad at drafting. Okay. It's not the fact that, people go there and it's just too much. They miss a lot on their draft picks. I don't think that the entire reason is New York, but I think it's part of the reason. Like being in that amount of spotlight, especially some fucking kid from Utah, that is a massive culture switch. Massive culture switch. Like, so that kind of pressure will play a little bit of a role. Maybe he's going to start embracing this stardom, this limelight, and maybe he'll turn it around. Like there are things that he does have a lot of talent in. He's got a ton of arm talent. He just can't read a defense or have any timing with his passes. But he can sling that motherfucker a long ways into the wrong location. I don't want to bury Zack today. I don't want to do that because I'm trying to celebrate the man. All right. Good for Zack.
Now, maybe to cap this off, do you think that someone ends up putting like a pair of granny panties in his locker or something like that when he shows up to training camp?
I don't think granny panties. I don't think because I don't know how old this woman is. Have we seen pictures of this lady yet?
No, I've only no name, no nothing. Only seen his mom, and so you can kind of gauge if it's his mom's friend, probably the same age and stuff like that, and upkeep. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, if you put a thong in his locker or something like that, just a regular old thong, everyone's going to be like, well, this could be anything. To kind of sell it home, you almost got to put in a pair.
I got it. No. It's got to be a thong, right? So there's not that much material, obviously. And then
but it's really worn out.
No, not really worn out. But you can kind of hang that thing up, and then you just put a couple 3 Werther's Originals just sitting right there.
That's what I was thinking. Is like, do you do that, or it's like some denture formula or something in there? Or,
no, go with the old people candy. That's what he got. It was some old people candy, right?
True. Yes. he's a man of fine tastes. The well-aged wine.
Yeah. Oh man, good for Zack. As soon as football starts and we start seeing him play, I am sure my opinion will change unless he changes my opinion of him. But right now, good job, Zack.
Alrighty.
All right. Was there anything else in the NFL going on?
Well, you said you wanted to speak real quick on the Madden stuff. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah,
had
that's
anything.
right. Yeah, Madden fucking sucks. The game blows. It has sucked for years. I don't give a shit about the Madden ratings. They don't mean a goddamn thing. Other than the fact that Miles Garrett is better than fucking TJ Watt. Other than that, I don't give a fuck. I know Steelers fans hate it, and the fact that they have Miles rated higher, I love because fuck the Steelers and fuck TJ Watt. But I don't give a shit about the Madden ratings. The game sucks. I have not played it in a couple years because it's been so bad. They refuse to update it, so fuck Madden.
Hey, I don't dislike Madden. It is buying the same game every time, pretty much, just with different player ratings. But to be honest, every time I get the game, I usually spend a good like 3, maybe 4 hours before even getting into an actual game, going through and editing player scores, because there's some of them that are just way out of whack, and you're like, this just does not hold up at all.
This is dog shit.
Like some things need to be adjusted here. Like I go to the bitch rating for Aaron Rodgers and just fucking crank it all the way up,
yeah.
shit like that. Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, Madden ratings don't really matter. Supposedly they have like former players and stuff like that helping them with the ratings and things like that, but I wouldn't. I mean, you see players when
Ocho
players are
Ocho Cinco is one of them.
Mm-hmm. But you have you see it in like is it like the NFL networks, like top 200 or something players, or top 100 players or something like that? It's a popularity contest where the players kind of vote on who the best players are. So you see a lot of guys in higher spots that are undeserving. So the players aren't always the best guys to be rating these people either. It's tough that you don't have a better rating system, but it is what it is. It's a video game, and you got.
I mean, there's analytics out there, guys. All Madden is just a bunch of fucking numbers and analytics.
Mhm.
So why don't you go to PFF and get some fucking ratings? Let's figure some of that shit out. Like, take some raw numbers from the combine. I don't give a fuck about the numbers though, because it doesn't really matter, because I'm gonna get on there. I'm gonna play with the Browns and be like, oh look, this is Madden fucking 2016. Oh wait, I paid $70 for this, and it's the same game I had in 2016.
Yeah, it doesn't really get updated that much.
No, it doesn't. So yeah,
usually the new features that they add in are kind of gimmicky and garbage. So, is what it is.
Yeah, but all right, yeah. So I'm done with that. Fuck Madden. I play MLB The Show, and depending on what happens in my near future, I might start trying to start up a little stream myself. Get on the $20 is $20 train and start streaming some video Wagos, and play some MLB The Show.
Fair enough.
All right, so since we're talking about Major League Baseball, let's fucking hop over there.
Right.
This week there's no baseball other than the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. Let's start with the Home Run Derby. I fucking love the Home Run Derby. We've talked about it before. Like, it's the greatest like sports all-star event that there is. People understand dudes just fucking launching balls into the stratosphere, and it's always fun. I was kind of sad to see that Jose did not make it out of the first round, but he also had to go up against Juan Soto, who eventually won the damn thing. And I think that was basically a foregone conclusion that Juan Soto was going to win, considering all the things that were going on around him. Did you get a chance to watch the Home Run Derby at all?
No, I actually didn't. I was working. But I mean, I did. I followed what was happening. I just couldn't actively watch. But I did. You know, as you're talking about Juan Soto winning, kind of felt like that was going to be the case, especially with this contract situation and stuff, and you know, turning down that $400+ million deal and things like that. And I was like, yeah, this narrative makes a lot of sense. He's just going to continue ascending and being like, I deserve money, I deserve trade partners, and yeah, it was kind of what I expected.
Yeah, me too. So there were some really cool moments. Now, when we got home after Graydon's baseball game, I think Jose had like 10 home runs. So I got to finish Jose's at bat, and then I caught the rest of it. I was very surprised Jose went from the right-hand side when he's typically much better power hitter from the left. Juan Soto beat him. Albert Pujols made it out of the first round, which I did not expect. But there was also possibly a little bit of controversy there on the home run count with Schwarber. So ESPN is kind of in charge of counting the home runs as they're going up so they can put them up on the ticker. They ended up in a tie, and then Pujols won in a swing off. That old man had got to be so fucking tired. Like, I'm surprised Albert did it. I'm glad Albert did it because everybody got to celebrate him one more time. It was a really cool moment. Everybody came out and kind of stood around him, thanked him, and sang their praises for him, which was awesome. And then goes out and wins a swing off. So that was a really, really cool moment. Those are kinds of things that you get like when you spotlight players in the home run derby. The kid out in Seattle is a fucking monster. He is so big, so fast, and just slaughters baseballs. He is going to be a big-time franchise piece for the Mariners for a very, very long time. I mean, he's not the next Junior. I don't know that anybody's the next Junior. I don't think he plays defense quite as well as Junior did, but that kid is very exciting. And then Juan Soto did what he had to do to win. Kind of like we talked about. I mean, it seemed like that was the narrative that was going to happen. I'm not saying that it's rigged, but when those storylines are there, they just kind of find a way to. Those things just tend to happen in that circumstance, right? And Juan Soto is still out there on the market. So we were talking a little bit before the show. Juan Soto, I thought he was coming up on free agency. He is not. So we were like, okay, who's got enough money to pay this guy to lock him up? Because if 440 ain't enough, what is? Well, that's not the case. Juan Soto is not signing. Now I am for sure Juan Soto is not signing that contract because he wants the fuck out of Washington. He has 2.5 years of control left on his contract. I did not know that. So any team that trades for him is going to have him for 2.5 years, the rest of this year and then 2 more. And then you can fucking flip him again for more prospects and get something else, or he could, before he tests free agency and does whatever. So he absolutely just wants the fuck out of Washington because this contract is coming very early. He feels like he's worth more than that. And I don't think he likes it there. What do you think, man?
Yeah, it makes it a lot more interesting because no matter what team he goes to, he's an upgrade. Like he's going to be, conceivably now any team could be in the market for him at this point.
Yes, they can.
Because he's immediately going to bring some crazy power to your team. I think the players that we talked about last week are still going to be in play, but it wouldn't be surprising to see someone that we weren't really talking about go out and get him.
Somebody with a fantastic farm system can swoop in here because the Nats don't have to worry about it. All they're looking for is top prospects.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
who's there on the cusp that has who has a really, really good farm system? Ooh, I know. My Guardians. They have 8 of the top 100 players. We just got a new minority owner. We need some power in the lineup. Like, we would be the ideal trade partner. Now, I don't think that we would be able to sign him after the next 2 years. But would I be willing to give up some of our top prospects for 2.5 years to make a fucking run at a World Series? I'm all in. Like, let's fucking go.
So I still think the Giants wouldn't be a horrible spot for him. I feel like the Dodgers would always try to make a play for him. But I don't know, man. Because I was in the same mindset of like this guy was going to be a free agent, so you got to move him sooner or later.
Right.
Like got to get something out of him. But this kind of changes up the whole dynamic if you're actually.
They don't have to trade him. They can
longer.
Now. The longer they hold on to him, the less in return they're going to get because there's less team control. So it makes sense to do it now since he's turned you down. But
So honestly, I'm really not sure.
Yeah, it could be fucking anybody at this point, man. And I hope the Guardians are in on this. I really do. Like we just added so much new money with another minority owner who's eventually going to take over primary ownership. Oh, please give me Juan Soto for 2 years. If we can't fucking pay him after that, fine. I don't give a fuck. Give me 2 years of Juan Soto. And I think every other baseball fan would be like, yeah, Sign me up. Especially if your team is close. Like, we were not expected to be very good. We have a very young team, and we are overperforming. But that means hopefully we're going to continue to get better, right? So this is over the next couple of years. We could have a window here to make a run at it. Obviously, you're going to have the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Angels can't pay him. But they don't have to. The Angels don't have to pay him. Like, that's like, could you imagine a fucking Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto fucking back to back to back?
Scary.
I'm just walking these fucking guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing this.
I'm not even going to bring up my Twins in the conversation because we do have good players in the farm system and stuff like that, but I just don't think that we have the balls to make some sort of a major deal. Like, I just don't think that they have it in them.
I mean, there are some teams out there that they think that they're in win now because they spent a lot of money, like the White Sox. They're in a win now mode, even though they're fucking suck dick right now. They are fucking not good, and I blame their manager, who is also a piece of shit. I will never not bury Tony La Russa. The day that Tony La Russa dies will be the first time that I do not bury Tony La Russa, because I don't believe in disrespecting somebody like that after they have passed. But while that man is alive, fuck Tony La Russa. He sucks, but they think they're in win now mode, and they're not, because he's a terrible manager. They are not incredibly far out of the race. They're 3.5 games back of you guys. We're a game and a half back. I think they're like, 5 games? 4.5 games back of the wild card, so they're still technically in it. I don't know if they got the juice to go get him, though. The money is not important anymore. The money is irrelevant at this point now.
Yeah, you're what, doing like, is it $60 million a year for arbitration or something like that, possibly?
No, arbitration would not even get close to that. The highest arbitration that's ever been paid is like 18 or 19. So if you go to arbitration, now he will probably get the highest arbitration ever. He'll break over 20 in arbitration for sure, but that's not that much.
Well, that's
money.
Over like the next 2 years would be like potentially $60 million if it were to go up to like $30 million a year or something like that. We're talking like worst case scenarios with that. I don't know. I guess you could maybe see like the Padres going after him.
So that is somebody that I've seen a lot of traction on.
They've already got Machado, Tatis. They're trying to get Joe Musgrove re-signed.
Yeah, I mean, they got a really good squad. Tatis has not been playing at all this year. He's been so fucking hurt. So adding another bat while Tatis is out keeps them in contention to make the playoffs. Because right now they're barely hanging on to a spot. Yeah. Now they're there when Tatis gets back and actually gives that team a bump. They should, by all accounts, make the fucking playoffs.
And they could give us some young guys like Mackenzie Gore,
CJ Abrams.
Yeah.
Like that kid's amazing. And they play shortstop, a position that they lost last year with Trey Turner going over to the Dodgers. So that helps that team out. I really like the Padres to get him, but I don't want the Padres to get it. I want the fucking Guardians to do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for baseball other than the cool game from the Jays and the Sox, Red Sox?
Yeah. So we had the All-Star game itself. The All-Star game was okay. There was one. Hey,
my boy Buxton.
Yeah. Hey, had a day.
Getting that dinger.
Yeah. It was okay game. I mean, I love the mic'd up stuff. Like miking up a pitcher while he's on the mound. That's not something that they've done before. They've put mics on players in the field before, but they haven't done a pitcher on the mound, like going in through a fucking inning. So that was a really cool thing to see. Giancarlo came out MVP, hit the 2-run shot. Good for Giancarlo. He's had a pretty decent year. I didn't think that he should have made the All-Star squad, but I mean, you're the MVP in the game. So good for Giancarlo. I mean, there was one rule change that I was really hoping was going to happen. So Major League Baseball decided that if after 9 innings, there is a tie, they would not go to extra innings in the All-Star game. There would not be a tie either. They decided that this year, if there was going to be a fucking tie, they were going to have a home run derby to fucking decide the winner. Something that we've kind of talked about with like the field goal kicking in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really hoping that was going to come to fruition. It did not.
That would have been fun. Hopefully they leave that in for coming years and stuff like that. You got to see it happen at least once before you can decide if you want to have it or not.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Term.
Because you picked your best home run hitter on either team, and you're like, all right, you got fucking 2 minutes. Go hit as many dingers as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
AL wins again.
AL is dominant. They've been dominating it. It means absolutely nothing for the World Series, though. Like, it doesn't matter AL, NL. Like, there's a lot of good players on teams all over the place. So, it's not like in the NBA where how the NBA used to be, where the West was like, oh, well, the West is going to win because the East fucking trash outside of LeBron. But yeah, AL dominates as always. And then last night, so I've been doing some fucking daily fantasy because I can't gamble on baseball or anything else yet until fucking January 1st. I made a little bit of money last night, like $12 on a fucking $5 buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a couple of Blue Jays players. Scored pretty well. That's how I made some money. I did not have the Blue Jays player, though, who had the most asinine grand slam in the history of Major League Baseball. I couldn't believe it when I saw the clip. The Red Sox got throttled. Final score was what? 28-3?
28-5.
Well, that's okay. I got 2 more. Good job.
Uh-huh.
Good job, Red Sox. 28-5. It was an absolute ass kicking. And then what was
embarrassing?
It is embarrassing. Was it Urias? Who the hell was his kid's name?
That got in the park?
Inside the park.
Tapia.
Raimel Tapia. Yeah, Raimel Tapia hits what looks like a fucking fly out to center field. Center fielder has no idea where the fuck the ball is. Like he was coming in like, yeah, I got this. Out.
And then he
just fucking stops. He's like, anybody see this motherfucker?
Mm-hmm.
Lands behind him. Raimel Tapia never stops running. Fucking 4-run score inside the park home run. That honestly, I thought there was a possibility it was gonna be scored a goddamn error and take that away from him. I'm glad it wasn't, but it was not a good look if you're a Red Sox fan last night.
Yeah, it was the 5th inning where I saw a tweet saying it's I believe it was like 25-3, and they're like, the Red Sox got the Blue Jays right where they want them. This is like the most lopsided baseball score I've seen in professional baseball that I can remember.
So I mean, it happens every few years or so. Somebody will score a 20 spot. I think the highest is in the 30s, like a 31 or 32. And you feel bad for the other team, but if you're the team hitting that day, don't stop hitting. Just fucking keep going. You don't fuck with a hot streak ever. And especially in baseball, you don't fuck with a hot streak. If you can't miss the fucking baseball, then don't miss the fucking baseball. Just keep scoring.
And you can't even have a slaughter rule in professional baseball or something like that, because these guys get paid based off of their performance and stuff. So you just got to let it keep going.
Yeah. You sit back, you're like, all right, well, this fucking sucks. Like, we don't have it today, boys. And it's not that we just don't have it. They are taking us out back, making us pick our own goddamn switch, and beating us to death with the motherfucker.
Yeah, there was a wedding proposal there last night too from a Red Sox fan. When it was 25-3, and she said yes. So that was like,
well, at least everybody in Boston didn't get their ass kicked last night.
Yeah, one of the only. It's going to be memorable for those two. Hopefully, it doesn't spell bad things for the rest of their marital life. But that was like probably one of the only times that you actually heard any cheering there at Fenway last night.
Yeah, well, good. Congratulations to the happy couple. And you know what's crazy is that in baseball, this means absolutely fucking nothing.
Yeah,
it means absolutely nothing. If this were a football game where somebody got throttled like that, we would be talking about like, is this team going to fall apart? Is this the end of their season? Are they sliding down? But they play 162. This is a fucking drop in the bucket. You just move on. Play the next fucking game and pray to God that your starter goes at least 7 innings so you can give that bullpen some fucking rest.
Yeah, that's the problem is that their starter Eovaldi only lasted 2.5 innings before having to get pulled for allowing 9 runs.
Yeah.
So you're working through your bullpen pretty quick. So those guys ain't going to be fresh.
And the first game of a fucking 3-game series too. So
yeah,
not great for Boston.
Everyone's going to be tuning in probably to see how that series
let's
goes.
see if they can back it up. Because I'll tell you what, if the Blue Jays come back tonight and put up in the teens, then we're going to start talking about there's a fucking problem. Like the Red Sox, I understand it's baseball. Anything can happen any goddamn day. But when you get just your dick kicked in that hard multiple games in a row, that really will turn a clubhouse into just a shitstorm.
Mm-hmm. So. And just from another team in the AL East, like 2 AL East teams, to have that happen in your division, it's not a good feeling. The Red Sox are in 4th right now, trailing the Jays by a couple games. That didn't help. It
doesn't help.
It almost feels like it probably puts a bookend on their season. Almost like it's not the end of the season, but like
if they fall apart though, if
you're already 16 and a half games back from first place, like you're probably not hunting for a wild card even. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's rough.
Well, the Yankees are running away with that division. They got no chance. Nobody else has a chance in the division besides the Yankees. So they're playing for wild card spots. Now, if they start to collapse, people will come back and they will point to this game. But right now in July, we don't know that because that shit's not decided until fucking September or October.
Yeah.
So right now it means nothing. Go out there, play fucking baseball tonight, play a good game. Hopefully fucking pitch decent and put some runs on the board. Like that's all you can ask for tonight. Bounce back because, like, I don't know what you do. Like, when literally you get run ruled. Well, guess what, boys? We didn't have it today. We got to play the fucking next one, though. So we'll come back. We'll play the next one. And hopefully we won't get our asses kicked again. Like, that's the only thing you can talk about. You can't let that destroy the clubhouse. It's not football where you lose to the Jags in week 18. So you're like, well, this guy's fucking cut.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, Torres. I did have to take a shot at your Colts there.
Oh, that's not a problem at all.
Yeah. All right. So I don't have too much else. We talked briefly about UFC. I mean, there's fights. There were fights on tonight, like some it's Curtis Blades, Tom Aspinall.
That's like the only one that is really worth watching.
I mean,
even that one doesn't have me excited, really. So not much there.
UFC 280 though is going to be fucking spectacular.
Yep.
Sean O'Malley is taking a massive step up in competition when that happens. As long as everybody makes it to the fight, a lot of things can happen during training camps.
Yeah.
But he's taking on Peter Yan, who I think is one of the best in that division. He won the first fight until he got disqualified. I think it was arguable that he did a pretty good job in that fucking second fight as well. And Sean O'Malley has not faced a guy like that. So I'm a huge Sean O'Malley fan. If I were betting, I don't know how I'd bet that. I want O'Malley to win because I want to see that star fucking rise and take off.
It's tough though. Peter Yan is a fucking killer, man.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be very interesting. And it's going to be a good card regardless. I mean, you've got Oliveira going up against Makhachev headlining that card. So October 22nd is definitely one to put on the calendar to start saving up your money for that pay-per-view because we all pay for it every time.
Always pay.
So it's going to be a good UFC.
Yeah. Full show. All right. Man, I think we're about out of shit. I mean, there's fucking women's soccer on. Women's European Championship.
Okay.
No, I don't care. I'm gonna drink more beer. Maybe go play some MLB The Show. Is $20? Is $20 streaming right now?
I don't think I've gotten a notification that he's on yet today. He's on one of our monsoon schedules. Yeah, we're on those monsoon schedules. So normally he's been streaming around noon here in Arizona. But and then he got on late last night at around 9 p.m., but I haven't seen him on yet today, so not sure.
All right. Well, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the night is hang out, maybe play some video games, drink some beer. So,
all righty.
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. Guys, we are off next week, by the way. We're not going to be here next week. My anniversary and Topgolf outing is happening, so we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Unless there's something late breaking that we got to jump on for.
If fucking Deshaun gets suspended, we're going to find a way to do a little impromptu emergency pod. But outside of that, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. This is the Lineman Lounge. I'm Mike. That's Evo. You guys can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Thank you very much. Also, listen to us anywhere podcasts are found. I got nothing else to say. Love you guys. See
ya.
Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from the Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6, where sleeves are optional.